Hi there, David Hunter here from bloggerme.com. Firstly, I'd like to apologise for not having put up any posts now for the last 2 weeks. I might have sneaked off on holiday for a week, and then I had some problems with my cable TV, so sorry about that, and any of you that have been waiting for a recent post. This is a review of the Australia-South Africa game on Saturday the 24th of July. A game I thoroughly enjoyed, quite an open game, both teams looking to run and do so reasonably well, although maybe South Africa were a little bit scrappy in trying to run it at times and weren't as accomplished as Australia. Although in saying that, the game didn't produce a great deal of, or a great number of tries, considering it was an open, reasonably expansive game. Before we go into it, I want to just mention about two bans that have been handed out following the game to Jacques Fourie and to Quade Cooper. Both were sin bin during the match for dangerous tackles, lifting the legs above the horizontal. I think this needs to be stamped out of the game, because the more this goes on, it's just a matter of time before someone gets a broken neck, and I don't think anybody wants to see another player have a broken neck. So I think it's right to sin bin them during the game and then hand out bans after the game. It's probably the only way we can stamp this out. However, as ever, the bans are time bound. So Quade Cooper got a 2-week ban and Jacques Fourie got a 4-week ban. Okay, you may think that sounds disproportionate, but whenever you hear the results of that, you might have the same ponder that I have. Quade Cooper's banned for the next 2 weeks, which means he misses 2 games. Jacques Fourie's banned for the next 4 weeks, which means he misses 1 game. Now, this is just to do with the fixture lists, but why not hand out, a finite number of games ban? Say you're banned for 1 game or you're banned for 2 games. I think would probably be a fair way to do it. And why has Cooper got a 2-match ban and why has Fourie got a 1-match ban? Why is it any more or less severe? I don't know. IRB, sort it out. Anyway, we'll go on with the game now. In the first half, South Africa discipline wasn't great. A lot of silly offsides at rucks, and just general bad discipline. Hands in the rucks, not rolling away, etc. And that allowed Matt Giteau to put 4 out of 4 penalties over in the first half, which didn't really help the South African cause. But again, in saying that, it was good to see Giteau getting his kicking boots back together, because he struggled a wee bit in some of the recent friendly internationals that they had. Just before half time, Australia managed to score a try through Drew Mitchell. Nice little bit of running by Matt Giteau. He managed to get an offload in somehow, I don't know, but how Mitchell took it was fantastic. He juggled the ball 3-4 times. I think everybody in the stadium, any of the Australian supporter anyway, stopped and gasped. Will he, won't he? But he managed to bring it in under his control and put the ball down for the first try of the game just on half time, which gave Australia a half time lead of 17-3, I believe. Now in the second half, South Africa came out and showed a great deal more discipline. One thing I forgot to mention about the first half was that if you looked at the offside line at a lot of defensive rucks, quite often South Africa had at least one man standing halfway through the ruck, completely offside. Now they did get pinged for it on a number of occasions, but there's a number of other occasions, that they didn't. But in the second half, they got that discipline sorted. Although I must say, John Smith spent a lot of the match complaining to the ref, and I don't think that gets the ref on side. I understand, you can be a bit frustrated at times, but I think the worst person to take that out on is the ref, and certainly didn't get him on side with referee George Clancy. On the subject of George Clancy, I thought he had a reasonably okay game. The commentators, I thought, gave him a bit of a hard time, complaining that they didn't need a Northern Hemisphere referee to come down there. Now, I agree that if money's an issue, don't send a Northern Hemisphere referee halfway around the world to come referee a match. But if it's not an issue, why not? Why not give them the experience? I mean, I think a lot of the Southern Hemisphere referees are welcome to the Six Nations whenever the competitions run in the springtime. So, Aussie commentators, lay off Northern Hemisphere referees. In the second half, as I said, South Africa did improve. They got a bit more possession, strung a few more phases together, and actually it was them that got the next try. Sustained period of pressure, eventually resulted in a try whenever Ruan Pienaar took a quick tap penalty and Jacques Fourie got over with Australia just caught sleeping. And this was after about 61 minutes. I then started to ask myself, are Australia going to die in the last 20 minutes, as we've seen them do so in recent times? And again, South Africa put a good bit more pressure on, and after 70 odd minutes scored another try through a line out. And they made this look so easy. Very clever line out ball off the top from Victor Matfield, wee round the corner ball, and they set up a rolling maul. Well, it was just a steamroller, because they were basically uncontested to dot down. And again, you thought, ooh, the South Africans are back in this with less than 10 minutes to go, and Australia are dying. Now, Ruan Pienaar unfortunately missed the conversions for that try and the previous try, which sort of made it a bit difficult for South Africa to come back into the game. But then Will Genia, a few minutes later, great wee snipe, got in near the posts and effectively finished the game off. There was no way in which South Africa could come back into it. So again, the final score I think was 30-13 to Australia. Australia, where I've spent a lot of the last couple of minutes talking about South Africa, but all in all, Australia were a much improved side in this game. They hit the rucks incredibly well, both in attack and defence. David Pocock was an absolute menace at rucks. I would like to call him a clever menace, because he played... I don't know if he played within the laws. He was very close to the line in a lot of cases. In fact, he was penalised on more than one occasion, rightly so. But one thing he didn't do was lose his cool. He enjoyed getting in there, making a menace of himself, winding up the opposition like any good back rower should. And that's something the South Africans didn't do. They didn't have a menace in there that could disrupt the Australian quick ball. And just slow it down that bit. So I mean, Australia did well, and Pocock in fact did very well in that respect. All in all, good game. Deservedly won by Australia. South Africa are the ones. Probably the heads are down a wee bit after being whipped by New Zealand 2 weeks running. But good to see Australia having considerably improved since the last match they had out against Ireland. But anyway, join in the debate. Put in your comments below, please. Thanks very much.